Hi, this is Jim, and you may not be aware of this, but I am a business owner. I've been in business for 25 years, and I've seen some strange things being in business. And I had a conversation the other day with a customer. It was very interesting. Made me think through some issues of taxation. But the conversation went like this. We installed an IT system for the customer, and they received the invoice. And when they looked at the invoice, they called me up and they said, "Wow, those taxes, sales tax, are really high." And I said, "Yes, they are. Welcome to California." And she started asking different questions and things like that. And I went through in my mind. I said, let's look at this invoice. Well, 60% of the invoice was going to go to the manufacturer for the equipment we installed. 20 to 25% was going to go for labor. And of course, 10% was going to be for overhead. So it really left about 5 or 10% left. And then on top of that, I had to charge the customer 10% just in sales tax. And I thought, wow, sales tax is about as high as my profit margin in the business. And then of course I thought, well, once I report that profit margin to the federal government and state government, well, they'll probably take half. So in reality, the sales tax was even higher than my profit margin on that install. And I started thinking about taxes, and sales taxes in particular. And I remember a conversation I had with my dad when I was probably 10, 11 years old. There was an incident in Pennsylvania where we lived. I think there was a flood in northeastern Pennsylvania. And the state decided that what they needed to help the area residents recover from this flood was an increase in sales tax of only 0.5%. Well, as a 10, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, whatever I was at that point, that didn't seem unreasonable to me. And I said that to my dad. And I remember my dad looking at me and he said, "Son, haven't I taught you anything? There's no such thing as a temporary tax. And there's no tax that a politician doesn't fall in love with." And that stuck with me for years, because that temporary tax didn't remain temporary, it became permanent. And that 3%, when it jumped to 3.5%, I don't know what it is in Pennsylvania these days, but I know it's more than 3.5%. And it just seems to be creep. The sales tax creep goes on and on and on. And I started thinking about, boy, I got 12 reports a year that I have to turn over to the state on the sales tax that I collect. And as a business owner, I don't get paid to collect sales tax, but I am personally liable for that sales tax if I collect the wrong amount, or if I don't turn it all over to the state. So I started thinking about the other taxes reports that I have to do, and I got to report to the federal government 5 times a year my income, and I got to report to the state government 5 times a year income about the business. Then I got personal income tax I have to take care of. I have business income tax. I have tax that I have to pay on my employees. When we collect tax from them, we have to add to it, and there's a tax report that goes. So it was over 60 tax reports that I have to do every year. 60 tax reports. I'm a small business. I have someone that I would imagine she spends half her time filling out forms for the government. That's one employee that spends half her time just sending reports to the government about this tax and that tax. And then I hear Chuck Schumer, the senator from New York, talking about internet tax. And we have an internet site also. And he says, "Oh, it will not be a big burden for small business. Well, it'll just be easy for them just to collect this additional tax for every other state." I got 600 taxing locations now in California that I have to keep track of. You mean I'm going to have at least 49 more in the United States? That's going to be a burden that's going to be hard to handle. I'll need new software. I'm going to have to hire more people. It'll come to the point to where, in reality, we're probably not going to be able to afford our internet site. And yet, taxes and taxes and taxes just keep on happening. And it seems to me that government, when a program or an area that fails, you know what happens to government? They just give more money to that program. You know what happens in business? If you can't make a profit, you go out of business, which is probably appropriate. But I really think that the burden on small business in this country is outrageous. And I think it's unfair to ask a working person who's already paid income tax to pay more taxes, not only on their gas purchases, but also on their sales tax. So this is my thought. Please comment on it on YouTube. I really would appreciate that. I'd like to hear from you. Again, this is Jim Gibson, and please visit my website at www.electgibson.com. Thank you for watching.